We're going to get Michelle Arbus and Kashton Foley in place here from Strainprint. Can we get you guys settled? Do you still want to be on the show? Why don't you, Kashton, grab that chair? Parker, get Michelle settled. How are you again, sir? Good. See, that's what I don't know.
Here's what I come over, but I couldn't get through.
Okay. I don't know you, but I know you look how you dress. You're cool.
Nice to meet you.
That's cool hats, by the way. By the way, I got some Strainprint. I got a Strainprint T-shirt. Which one? The one that says Data Nerd. Mm-hmm. I didn't know you guys were doing some cool hats now.
Yes, we are.
Look at you. See, the thing is, you don't know. You have a friend, your best friend, Darren. He's one of those guys who just knows how to dress, right?
Oh, yeah, right. He can dress.
Well, here's Kashton. Walks in. He's got a cool jacket, ripped jeans. He's cool. I don't know. Where do you even put that together? Do you have help?
No, this is just me looking in the mirror.
All right, Michelle, you look very nice, too.
Thank you.
Although I should say, since he retired, I don't think I've seen Darren out of some kind of a rock and roll T-shirt. But anyway.
Kashton is the B2B Marketing Manager, Strainprint. Michelle, Vice President of Research. And we're friends of Strainprint. We've had a relationship for quite some time now, and it never ceases to amaze me, you guys. The world of cannabis, medical and recreational. But what Strainprint has done is kind of figure out a way for people to share stories with one another.
Exactly.
That really wasn't a question. I realize that. You seemed. I realized I didn't have a question mark at the end of that sentence. Tell me what Strainprint is doing to help people have a better experience with cannabis.
Michelle, do you want to lead this?
Sure. So we at Strainprint have developed an app for consumers, and you can track your medical cannabis usage. So it really helps the patient figure out what works best for them. So we know that cannabis is a very individualized medicine. It interacts with your body, which is every single person has a different endocannabinoid system in their body. So what works for Kashton won't work for me, won't work for you, might work for someone else. So in order to figure out as the patient what's working, you track it every day or every time you medicate, and then the app will say, hey, remember when you use this product at this time with this amount of, you took in this much, this is what you said worked best. So it really helps the patient.
And I was going to say it helps in a way because lots of times people talk to each other anecdotally about, I'm having trouble sleeping. This is what I'm using. But sometimes, the problem with that data is it's not shareable and it's not trackable.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of like 101. One of our salespeople were talking about this like stoner knowledge, the anecdotal
stoner knowledge, exactly. For instance, I didn't remember we talked about this Toronto's full page ad.
Yeah.
It was
I
yesterday,
heard it a couple of times. Yeah. It's okay.
I'm going to talk about it again.
If you haven't heard about it, he'll tell you.
It's Seth Curry and Kyle Lowry. They're hugging. Anyway, go on.
I haven't heard about it. So yeah, our observational study is the largest in the world, and so we're able to give people other people's outcomes so that they can find the products that work for them a lot quicker than if they were to journal handwritten like our founder did originally. So that's what we're trying to do, help people get the best patient outcomes.
And the other way that is different from the anecdotal stoner knowledge is where it's quantified. So you rate your how you're feeling out of 10 before and after you medicate. So every time you medicate, you get a score, which is your efficacy score. So you're not just like, yeah, it worked. Yeah, it kind of worked. Like, it's actually a number that's quantifiable. And when we have tens of thousands of patients and 1.3 million of these records, the number means something.
Yeah. Especially, so let's take insomnia. It's one of the things we talk a lot about as people age. They sleep less. It's a fact. And I had no idea. A lot of our peer group, men and women in their 50s and 60s, are taking over-the-counter sleep medication. It's terrible for you. Some people are getting prescription, and some people are afraid to use marijuana or CBDs, whatever. But there's a recent report about insomnia that you want to talk about. I think it's fascinating.
Yeah, I'll let Michelle dive in a little bit more. But one of the biggest things for me from that report was that people are switching to medical cannabis, and that we're seeing almost 50%, 45% is what we're seeing, better sleep from people using medical cannabis. And that affects 1 in 10, insomnia affects 1 in 10 Canadians. So 10% of the population is able to use medical cannabis based on our data.
Michelle, what are some of the numbers? Or, Michelle, what would you like to say? I don't know. I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
How many people are now sleeping better?
Lots of people are sleeping better.
So lots of people are sleeping better. As Kashton said, it's about 1 in 10 that suffer from insomnia. And our records have 5% of our total 1.3 million outcomes is insomnia. So it's in the top 10. It's like a good number of people who are using medical cannabis are treating with this. We see one of the really cool things that we found in the study is there's such a in terms of cannabis, such a dichotomy between like an indica sativa, right? You're like, oh, you got to go to sleep, you need an indica. Yeah. Oh, you want to be awake, here's sativa. But what we found with our lots and lots, we have I think 35,000 records, patient records that we analyzed for this study, shows that that's not the case. And it's not that it's not the case. It's dependent on lots of things, on age, on gender. Like we're able to really see, like males and females have different bodies, different hormones that interact with the THC differently. So they're going to need different things to fall asleep. You
know, the stigma's still attached. Now, when you say, and there's people listening to this show and aren't quite sure, you say medical cannabis. When you say that, I think a lot of people are a little more receptive to the idea. Just putting that word in front of it, even if it doesn't need to be there, because of the stigma attached. So, I've never really smoked marijuana or taken marijuana. This is a big leap for me. But if it's medical, I'll do it.
Yeah, I think to that point is that putting medical in front of it and also using the word cannabis, which is the actual plant's scientific name, is huge. Because marijuana, I'm a dual citizen of the U.S. and Canada. I was born here. Okay. But marijuana comes from Mexico. In the 1930s, the FBI started using that term, and it is partly built the stigma.
That's right. They did. They thought cannabis sounded too smart.
Yep.
So they made up that word. I want to ask you though. So take us through, because listen, I understand. Fred understands the idea of the app, but let's say I'm having trouble. Sleeping. I go on Strainprint. I input my age, gender, all that stuff. And then what am I looking for? How does it work?
So if you are new to the app and you put in your information, then there's a button on the app that's called Explore. So you're exploring and you're able to access what other patients have used. So and you say explore insomnia, and it'll come up with these are the top 5 products that seem to be working for other people.
That's what I want to get to.
Yeah.
Here's the products. Here's the amount most people have used. Here's the combination of THC and CBD. It'll take you step by step, and then you start tracking your progress.
Exactly.
And what would be interesting is that I'm sure, like we know, for example, with anxiety, some of the top products are high THC, low CBD. Some are 1-to-1, and some are a high CBD, low THC. So it may come up, it may show you all 3, and then you would be a little bit confused. Like, I don't know, do I need the high THC, the 1-to-1, or the high CBD? And that's where you start, though. And you can say, okay, I'm going to try this one first and see how that works and track it and then see how it goes. And if not, you say, okay, well, maybe the next kind works for me. So it's really helpful for your whole journey.
And what a great, time we live in, so that this as we get older, then maybe we can. And we've had this conversation recently with another product talking about getting off opioids, but that's a fairly extreme example. But what if you could just get off prescription or over-the-counter sleep medication?
Well,
why not?
People are doing it. So our other study that we are here to talk about is a study we did on polypharmacy. So we asked our Strainprint community members or app users to go take a survey that we designed on what other drugs are you taking if you're also treating something with cannabis. So
say that again. So if you're taking, if you're on a anti-inflammatory and cannabis, if you're on a sleep med and cannabis. Okay, so what did you find out?
To qualify, you had to say, I'm treating something with cannabis and either an over-the-counter or a prescription drug or a natural remedy. Not too many people were doing natural remedies, but what did we find? We found over 50% of our users were using cannabis and something else, and that changed. The 50% went up to, I think, 80%, depending on the symptom they're treating. But of those people who are using both, there's different ways they're using it. Some people totally replace their over-the-counter or pharmaceuticals with cannabis. Some of them reduced the amount of medication they're taking and added cannabis, and some continued with their medication and then added cannabis on top of it. And
amazing.
It is amazing because we see people with pain, a lot of them reduced their
dependency on the over-the-counter stuff. Now,
and prescription. Opioids were listed as the things that were reduced. So that was really, really promising.
It is promising. Right now, I'm treating low self-esteem with cannabis and chocolate-covered bark. Oh. It's working.
And he means bark from a tree.
No, exactly. Have you tried this pretzel bark? It's transforming. It's transforming my life.
I think I know what you're talking about.
You know, it's that. And I freeze it. I put it in the freezer. Anyway, back to your study. So I'll just say this: if you haven't figured out this Strainprint is the magic, you got to go and check it out. Strainprint.ca. Download the app for free. Google Play or iTunes. Kashton just joined. Yes. Michelle, have you been here before?
I was here almost a year ago because I've been at Strainprint almost a year.
Well, and we're so happy to have you guys with us. Kashton just joined. Yeah, and where did you came from? A bunch of different sectors, big companies too, right?
Yep. So I've done IT consulting in the past at a bunch of Fortune 500 companies. I've been in Chicago and LA, and so I've seen the prohibition markets. I've seen a gray market, and now being back here into a legal market, and we're growing our marketing team, which is allowing us to execute and bring this product to more people. So I'm really excited.
Well, we're really, obviously excited to have you guys as part of our partnership, and hopefully that continues. Once again, Michelle Arbus and Kashton Foley, amazing work. Also, cool outfits.
Thank you so much.
And I got to get a hat. Sorry.
We'll get it for you.
I love that hat. It's funny because I went to New York a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, but it's white.
I know. I'll get space where I'm going to get.
We have a couple other ones.
No, because I spill on everything.
That'll end up with spaghetti stains.
Listen, I went to. I love that Strainprint. I have a Strainprint, one of the originals that says "Data Nerd," but it's got the marijuana leaf logo. And I tell you, I was coming home. I had it with me in New York, but I didn't wear it coming back because I don't want anyone asking me, "Are you involved in the marijuana industry?" I mean, like, how do you mean involved? Like 24/7. Thank you guys. Thanks for coming.
Thank
It was so great seeing
Thank you so much.
Strainprint.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
What I told you about. This is that moment.
This is that moment.
All right.
Thank you so much.
How was that? Did you get everything out you wanted?
Yes,
Good.
thank you.
All right. All right. Very good.